Curing salt, check. Checkbook, check. Bone saw, check. Cooler, check. Big plastic bags, check. Directions, check. Kids, check. So we're headed out to Devil's Ranch. Nope, Devil's Gulch Farm and Ranch. He produces, this farmer named Mark produces pig, quail, rabbit. There were a couple other things that I can't remember now. On his Nicasio in Marin County ranch, and it's all pastured, grass-fed, happy animals, and we've become really interested in learning how to get large portions of an animal and butcher it so that we have a supply here at home. We used to belong to a CSA for meat, and it was great, but we realized that it was difficult with a CSA, like any CSA, community-supported agriculture. You buy a share and then you get whatever they want to give you. And maybe I'm just picky, but as cooks we like to have certain cuts so that we know what we're going to do with them. So we stopped doing that service. Pastured meat is more expensive. You have to budget for it. And so getting it from a farm, directly from a farm, makes a lot of sense, because you can just get it right from the supplier and not pay the middleman. And we have found that even at Whole Foods, it's very difficult to get really good pork that's where the pigs lived a happy life on pasture, rooting, doing what pigs are supposed to do, which is what we want to support. So that's why we're headed out there today. It's going to be quite a bit of a drive. I'm not sure if Mark's going to let us film there or take pictures. We'll see. It's up to him. It's his business. He sells mostly to chefs and restaurants, so for us to get to go is a pretty big deal. He read our blog and he liked it, and so we get to go, which is really neat. The dog is not allowed to come because he has livestock dogs that will attack any strange dog. So the dog's going to my parents' house for the day, and then we'll end up there, and we're going to take the leg of the pig and make a Tennessee country ham, which is something I don't particularly like, but my dad really likes, and Tom and my dad are totally stoked to figure out how to cure this country ham, which apparently cures for a year, almost a year. So it's gonna be an interesting process. Come along with us. We'll see some beautiful countryside, a beautiful farm, and then we'll have a project at the end, and delicious pig to eat. So let's go check it out. sawhorse is set up with a piece of wood and some butcher paper. Yeah. And here's our leg. Unfortunately, they already cut off the foot. They weren't supposed to, but they did. And so where are you going to cut, Tom? Is that the sirloin?
Right, yeah. So this is the sirloin, and then this is the part that we're going to make a ham out of. So I'm going to try to cut it just right along here.
Okay.
And so we'll see how that goes.
What's the weight of this thing?
This came in at about 30 pounds.
30 pounds, okay.
30, oh, I'm sorry, 30.
I thought it was 40 pounds.
Yeah, 37 and a half pounds.
Okay. All right.
So we've got, here's a set of bones right here. So I'm going to try to just kind of work right along in here. That way, you remember how on that video they were talking about being able to stand this thing up and have this thing pointed straight up in the air.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We might trim off some of this fat up here.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Now, an important thing, if you're following at home, is we have our bone saw here, and then we have a bunch of knives, and you use knives to cut the meat, and the bone saw to cut the bones. You don't want to use the bone saw on the meat because otherwise it'll just tear, and it'll get it all shredded and stuff like that. The other thing that would be handy to have would be like a wet cloth, because when we do come to sawing through the bones, we're going to get little bone chips, and that's not good eats. So we're going to want to
A
wipe
wet
that
cloth
down.
and pepper are two things that we need then.
Right.
Have we laid in a good supply of Band-Aids?
Fortunately, we have nice sharp knives here. So,
Woodworkers' sharp knives.
yep. We got a bone right in here too, so we're just going to cut around.
What does that stamp say?
That's the USDA stamp. And we're not going to try to do this all at once. We're just going to let our knife do the work.
That is going to be a huge sirloin roast. Don't you think?
Yep.
If this thing's 40 pounds.
So I can feel my knife hitting bone now.
Does that mean it's time for the saw?
So it's coming. It's going to be time for the saw here pretty soon. We're just going to, I just want to make sure that I got this all dressed up here. And then we'll break out the saw.
Do you want that wet cloth for your hand?
No, but I do want to take the plastic guard off the saw before I try to use it.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
Now, some folks talk, I was reading where people were talking about switching the direction of the saw blade so that it was cutting when you were pulling instead of pushing. Yeah. But I'm just going to try to do it this way, and
I don't think it's going to matter.
And we'll see how it goes. And then you don't have to kind of gorilla this. It's a heavy saw, and what I found when I was taking the butcher class was that people were really working hard trying to saw things, and they were they were just working themselves into a sweat. And then I tried just dragging the thing back and forth, and putting almost no pressure on it, and it went through like nothing. So we'll see how this goes. This is a brand new saw here, so. There you go.
Just like that.
Just like that. Now, let's take our wet cloth here. We have all this sort of stuff that we just sawed up here, so we want to kind of wipe that down.
So what process are we on?
So Dad took the sirloin, this is the sirloin, off of the leg. So Dad's just trimming up the sirloin so that Graham can have a nice roast for New Year's Day. We're just taking off a little, he took off the skin, and now he's taking off some fat. And she can probably take whatever
Yeah.
else she wants. So we were just talking about your sirloin roast and how much fat you wanted taken off of it. The skin's off. Show her this side because this is the. Oh yeah, I guess there's similar.
So there's a whole bunch of bones in here still,
Okay, good.
which is
Okay.
nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
And then like a whole bunch of bones in here. And then there's this just wonderful layer of back fat.
Yeah, I'd like less of that. Because
Okay.
you're going to take that home and do something with it, right?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, I don't need that much in our serve.
That was gonna happen.
So that's this?
Yeah, so that's
Oh, so you need a container for the food. Here's the top.
But I want to open up this pork belly just to see what's inside. Specifically, I'm not sure whether they included the if they took the bones out, the rib bones out or not. So let's open this up and let's see what's going on.
The reason it's in plastic is because after they butcher it, they seal it up.
All right. Okay, so here's what we got. And you can see the ribs used to be here, but they're not there anymore. I'm just
So
gonna,
we're going to do bacon with some of this, and we're going to do
Pancetta.
pancetta with some other.
right. So I think I might just cut this into 3.
Wow, you can really see where the ribs were, can't
Exactly. Yeah.
The
Yeah. Yeah.
impressions.
So yeah, if you just take these off, these are the sirloin. This is where the sirloin ribs are. And you can see, looking at the, you look at the end of this here, and it looks just like bacon. And that's because that's what it is. So, heck yeah, heck yeah.
The leg is so massive that the belly is literally in its shadow. That was pretty clean cut.
All right,
you? So what's that?
that's just pork belly.
So you need some butcher paper.
You know what? Maybe I need to get a pen or something so I can mark up.
Ooh, good idea.
So we don't have to unwrap
You want a
everything?
black pen?
Wait,
Well, I'm
Dad
gonna-
has one right here, Mom. Yeah, I'll take a black pen.
Black felt.
It's a good thing you got all this butcher paper, for heaven's sakes.
Checking for bones.
I'm just kind of looking at it, seeing what's what.
So what's the piece that? Whoa.
I don't have a wall to hang that thing on to
What's-
pull it off.
Yeah.
Dad, what's the piece that you just cut off? What's that going to be?
Thanks, Dad.
This is, well, one of these we're going to take and we're going to, I think 2 of these will turn into bacon.
Okay.
And
that
then one of
can-
these I'll turn into pancetta. And really with pancetta, what we're going to do, we're going to cure it, and then we're just going to roll it up like this here after it's cured. And so then it gets that nice little spiral sort of thing going here.
So do you want me to label this how?
Just pork belly.
Beans.
I might do this one for the pancetta just because it's got nice straight edges on both sides. Yeah, it's gonna look good.
That's a prettier pancetta.
Right.
You can write PP on that one. Possible
So
pancetta.
what we're working on right now is separating the skin from the meat right up around in here. We want to be able to kind of get some cure up in here. And so we're just going to kind of loosen this up a little bit, and later when we have our cure, we'll pack this in pretty tight. All right, I think that's probably pretty good.
And there's a place here where I feel it stops. Okay, there it is. There, I got it.
All right.
You said that the more
Cure.
more cure you get in there, the better it'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one part where you're kind of most especially worried about
Not getting enough
about bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
Bad,
It's
you know.
susceptible there without.
So let's go ahead and start packing some stuff in here. What's this? I'm gonna grab this again here. And let's just not mess around. Keep on going here, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I think this is in good shape at this point.
It's looking pretty stuck.
So now we're gonna take some of this and just kind of
Spread it.
get all. You wanna, we wanna try to make sure that we get this all up in all the nooks and crannies here. So you can see I've got to this.
Do you want me to hold it up so you can
Nope, I'm gonna.
come around this side, Adam? Yeah.
He's getting my nooks and crannies shot right now.
Good. It sure is sparkly. So when does the ham sock arrive?
Friday is when Amazon says it's gonna be there.
So let's get.
10 pounds?
I'll flip that over.
There's probably a 30-pound leg right here.
37.
Yeah, we'll weigh
Yeah,
it.
but we took out the sirloin
Right. So
we
we'll
took
weigh.
out-
We'll weigh it.
so that we know how much it is now.
So that
and
we
how
know how
much
much, so that you can measure our progress here.
How are we going to weigh it if there's no scale here?
changes weight?
Oh yeah, it's going to lose the whole. This is all about losing moisture.
Half of it's water.
That's why the salt's in there.
That's why. Yeah, this
Takes
is
out
all.
all the
All
water.
a lot of preserving meats is all about getting the water out.
So that the
And
bacteria.
So that yeah, so that you make.
It's gonna be more ham than any of us could ever eat. So that's
Well,
gonna
it's
be
still going to
less
wind
less.
up. I mean, we're going to
Yeah.
lose maybe 30% of the weight. So it's still going to be 20 pounds of ham here. So
It's bad as shade.
I was surprised at how much water is still left.
yeah. All right, I think we're in good shape here. So now we have to try to wrap this thing up here. And
They had big 36-inch
butcher paper.
wide paper.
Right, but we'll use some of this tape here and we'll be fine.
Do you want string instead?
No, I want to use tape. So
Tape doesn't untie.
I'll tell you.
Merry Christmas, you get a country ham.
All right, and then let's actually, before we put another piece of tape on it, let's just, you've got that other piece of paper there, yeah? Let's just,
That's not holding together, so.
all right. I don't want to use too much tape here.
I don't, yeah.
All right, so let's put this on top. Fold it over. It's been about 36 hours since we cut up all of that pork, and here's where we are. I was going to show you a picture of this in the refrigerator that we have in the garage, but it's a little too dark, so I brought it outside here. Here's our bacon over on the left-hand side, and here's the pancetta. There's a whole lot of interesting herbs and spices going on inside this pancetta. Bay leaves and juniper berries and pepper and garlic and all sorts of things. I'm really anxious to see how that's going to turn out. You can see, looking at the bacon here, that a whole lot of moisture. Look at all that. Look at all that moisture that's gotten pulled out of that already. That's pretty tremendous. I'm excited to see how this turns out and how that compares with the bacons that I've made before with store-bought pork. And then we've got our ham sitting over here, working away. It's going to be in the fridge for 60 days before we move it on to the next stage. So that's a long time. And I have to figure out some way to hang it up in the fridge. I think I'll work on that today. That's all for this week. We hope you have a really nice holiday, and we'll see you next time.